So we are ready for the new year. We're looking forward to a very interesting session in Annapolis. Last week I attended the Maryland Association of Counties conference, and I can tell you that there's significant interest among the large counties in working together in a much more cohesive and cooperative way. I think had the election of the governor gone differently, I don't think you would see this spirit of cooperation in quite the same way from counties. My Vice President Nancy Florine and I had a superb meeting with the Prince George's County Council Chairman Mel Franklin and the Vice Chairman Derek Davis. We're talking about creating a new Large County Caucus within the Maryland Association of Counties to work together to defend our interests in the legislative session, to have better collaboration and communication, because when you look at the counties that comprise 200,000 people or more, they constitute well over 3/4 of the population of the state of Maryland. And so we've heard a lot of dialogue about how small counties have felt left out, and the governor's going to gear his efforts towards small counties. All counties are important, but the people live in the big counties. So that's where the preponderance of the state's population is. We're not leaving anyone out, but we think that there's a need for better communication and cooperation to make sure that we do not undercut the governor's goals, which we share, of a strong economy. The heart of a strong economy in Maryland is continued investment in higher education, in K-12 education, and infrastructure, transportation infrastructure in particular. And so we've got to identify those interests that the large counties share, find ways that we can cooperate, identify principles on which we agree, and so I'm excited about that effort. Here at the Montgomery County Council, we've got a lot going on. Our budget, of course, is going to be challenging. We have an excellent relationship, of course, with the county executive. He takes the first crack at the budget. We have a public hearing Thursday night on my bill regarding the use of herbicides and pesticides, which I think will be a good dialogue. And we've agreed, Chairman Berliner and I, Chairman of the Transportation Infrastructure, Energy and Environment Committee, that there will be a second public hearing. And I don't know if Linda Lauer is on February 12th. So there will be a second public hearing on the herbicide and pesticide bill in order to ensure that a wide range of opinions are heard and that the public has a chance to express its views on this measure. This is a measure that is consistent with what a majority of provinces in Canada have done, many countries in Europe have done. It's a somewhat new topic here in the United States, but there's rising concern about the links between noxious and toxic lawn chemicals and an array of health effects, childhood brain development, concerns about water quality and the safety of our Chesapeake Bay. So we want to make sure that, as I said in my speech at becoming president, we want Montgomery County to be the safest, cleanest, healthiest county in the United States of America, and we're taking this on even though we understand that it is a new concept for a lot of people. We're going to take our time with it. We're not in a rush with it, but I do anticipate that we will enact a very far-reaching piece of legislation during this calendar year. So with that, I'll pause and take any questions that you may have.
In working together in Annapolis, I mean, where do you expect to run into some possible resistance, or what are you trying to safeguard specifically?
Specifically, we're trying to safeguard education and infrastructure. We agree with Governor Hogan that we've got to do all that we can to make Maryland attractive and competitive. We want to incent jobs and investment. And the best way to incent jobs and investment is that employers understand that we have a highly educated workforce, that we're a very desirable place to find highly skilled and highly trained people, and that means we must maintain our investment in higher education and K-12 education, and that we also have to get people from their home to their work. Inside the Beltway, in the Washington, D.C. region, we can't build any more roads, and so we support building roads where they can be built. But in the very dense built-up areas of our state, you've got to also go with mass transit. So we're looking at making sure that those investments continue, because that's how you're going to incent jobs and companies to come here and to stay here. Governor Hogan said during his campaign that the fundamental test he will apply to every policy question is, does this make it easier for families to stay in Maryland? Does it make it easier for companies to stay in Maryland and new companies to come here? We agree that's an excellent test. And so having first-rate schools, first-rate institutions of higher education, and transportation infrastructure are exactly what families and businesses need to function and stay and come to Maryland.
Does that infrastructure include the Purple Line?
Absolutely, it includes the Purple Line. We are not going to retreat. We need the Purple Line. It's absolutely vital. It's going to be transformative for the University of Maryland, which is our premier public higher education institution. And absolutely, we need to keep it on track and not discourage the consortia of concessionaires who have devoted millions of their own dollars in order to compete for this opportunity. The reason that the P3, the private-public partnership model, is being employed for the Purple Line is because it is so economically viable. It makes so much sense in the long term for the private sector to participate.
On the pesticide bill, would it affect county agencies? And have you heard from
Yes.
parks?
Yes, it will affect county agencies, and we are in touch with the Parks Department. We're in touch with the Soccerplex. We're going to hear their concerns at the public hearing this week or the one on February 12th, and I absolutely believe that keeping children safe from toxics is an overriding public health priority for elected officials. And I believe, and I'm also very confident that, as has been done in Canada, there are safe and healthy methods of reducing weeds and reducing problems that would make playing fields operable without the use of toxic chemicals. So we're going to work with our Parks Department, we're going to work with the Soccerplex, but in the long run, the lawn care management is going to benefit. One of the things that we want to make Montgomery County known for is that we are a place where environmentally conscious technology and environmentally conscious methods are encouraged and inspired, and we want to be a place where those kinds of industries grow. We want a healthy economy, and we want businesses to thrive here that are consistent with our values.
How much of that bill is based on the Tacoma Park?
It's very close to the Tacoma Park project.
Are there sections of that bill that you anticipate more pushback on, or sections that you're maybe more flexible on changing?
Well, you know, we're getting a lot of pushback, and some of the pushback is coming from the lawn care companies. Some of the pushback is coming from the chemical industries themselves. The lawn care industry is doing very well in Canada, and there are lawn care companies. I don't need to call them out by name, but I've been in contact with Montgomery County lawn care companies that are extremely excited about the opportunities presented by this bill. You can have a beautiful, lush, weed-free, green lawn without the use of toxic chemicals that threaten children and pets and the Chesapeake Bay. And so lawn care companies are already adapting to the market desire for safe and healthy lawn care practices. The passage of this bill will just accelerate that.
Going back to the caucus of the coalition with the bigger counties.
The Large County Caucus.
This should
And
be
I really need to give credit to Mel Franklin, Prince George's County Council Chairman. This was his idea, and we had an excellent meeting last week in Cambridge at the Maryland Association of Counties Conference.
This should be our year to get more school funding. You know, we helped other counties last year.
School construction.
School construction, yeah. Do you think that they're going to have counties back going into this session?
School construction will definitely be among the basic issues that the large counties have in common, and I would definitely anticipate that when we get the Large County Caucus together, that school construction will be among our top priorities.
Ms. Goodrich.
Sure.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about the President Obama's discussion on the community college proposal? What are your thoughts on that? How do you think that might impact the county?
I like the idea. Certainly I think that all of us, whether it's federal, state, or local government, want to prepare the workforce of tomorrow, and I absolutely agree with the President that a high school education is not going to equip the next generation in the 21st century.
How do you
We
feel
need to go beyond just a 12th grade education, universally.
Can we talk about Silver Spring Transit Center?
Sure.
What are your thoughts on you know, there's the funding is going to have to, they're looking at how much additional money is going to cost?
Well, as I've said before, I mean, I think that council members will hold our noses and vote for the additional money and expect that our county attorney will vigorously pursue the county's interests, and that in the long run, taxpayers will be fully reimbursed for costs that are attributable to mistakes by contractors and subcontractors. But in the near term, we can't halt the remediation of the transit center. We must proceed with it so that it's open and available for use by the public in 2015.
What's the latest figure they're telling you that the additional monies?
I think we're talking about 21 million, Steve, is that correct?
Yes, it's basically, the supplemental is for 16,700.
But the 5 is being moved around from other capital projects, so the total cost is 21 million.
Total 21.
And what is the briefing on tomorrow's council agenda? What is that regarding? Is it just sort of overall?
The executive branch will give us an update on the work that was already done last fall, how much additional work on remediation needs to be done before the structure can be turned over to WMATA, which we anticipate will occur before the middle of this calendar year. Anything else?
Pike District, what do you think of the new name?
I was hoping for Beth Rock.
Okay. Do you think it's going to stick, Pike District?
I think so. People seem to be okay with it.
And the meeting tomorrow about the merger, the Pepco merger, support of it? How do you feel about it?
You know, Roger Berliner has been the council's point person on that. I mean, we all want service standards that are rigorous, and you know, I think that Montgomery County's effort is to work through the Public Service Commission to ensure that the utility is held accountable to ratepayers, and that we don't continue to encounter outages that inconvenience people. As of today, we haven't taken a position against the merger. I think what we want is we want the utility to be held accountable to ratepayers, and we want the Public Service Commission to be really rigorous.
Do you think that will be tougher because it is going to be such a larger entity now?
Well, they're making the case that it'll actually be easier because they'll have more resources. But I would really direct questions on that topic to Roger Berliner.
Very good.
Anything else? Great. Nice to see you all. Thanks very much.
Thank you.